think we're ready to go. Hello. Right, we've been looking at fractions in class and we've been understanding what a fraction is, and today and yesterday we've been looking at equivalent fractions. So fractions that may have different denominators but are still the same size, and we've compared those, and we know that whatever we do to our numerator we must also do to our denominator. But now we're going to start comparing fractions and ordering fractions that aren't equivalent, fractions that are different sizes, from smallest to largest. So we've got one here and it says which is bigger, 2/3 or 3/5. Okay. Now at the moment we don't know, we can't tell which fraction is bigger because they've both got different denominators. Okay, both wholes are divided into different amounts of parts. Okay, so for example, in this fraction it's divided into 3 equal parts, and in this fraction the total whole is divided into 5 equal parts. So it's we can't compare them, okay, at the moment. It's quite difficult for us to compare. If this was 1/5 or 3/5, we'd know which one was smaller. We'd know that 1/5 is smaller than 3/5, okay? It's 2/5 smaller. But because they've got different denominators, we can't compare them. So the only way we can compare fractions with different denominators is to get them to have the same denominator. We need to find a common denominator for both fractions. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through how to do that now. Okay, so what we need to look at is our denominators. We've got 3 here and we've got 5 here. Now we need to think of a common multiple of 3 and 5, a number that both 3 and 5 are both factors of. Okay, so the quickest way and the best way to do this is just by timesing both of your denominators together. Okay, so I know that 3 groups of 5 or 5 groups of 3 is 15. So I know that 3 goes into 15, and I also know that 5 goes into 15. Okay, just to show, we'll do our groups of 3. You don't have to do this every time, but I'm just going to show you this time. So if I do my groups of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and my groups of 5, 5, 10, 15. The first common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. Okay, so I'm going to write that underneath both of these fractions. Okay, they're going to share the denominator 15. Okay. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must also do to my numerator. So I've multiplied, we think about our denominator, which is 3. I have multiplied the 3 by 5. I find 5 groups of 3 to get this 15. Okay? Which means I need to multiply my numerator by 5 as well. Because as we know, whatever we multiply our denominator by, we need to multiply our numerator by as well in order to get an equivalent fraction. Okay? So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 5 as well. So 5 groups of 2, which of course we know is 10. So 2/3 is exactly the same as 10/15. They're equivalent fractions, okay, because I've multiplied the numerator and the denominator by 5. And now I'm going to see what 3/5 is as an equivalent fraction out of 15 equal parts. So to get to 15, I look at my denominator in 3/5, which is 5, and I multiply obviously 5 by 3. 3 groups of 5 is 15. So I multiply that. And you can see I've got 15 already down. So whatever I do to my denominator, I need to also do to my numerator. So I need to multiply the 3 on my numerator by 3 as well. I need to find 3 groups of 3, which of course is 9. Okay, so 9 becomes my numerator. And of course these two fractions are also equivalent. Okay, now I can compare them because they've got the same denominator. And I can clearly see that 10/15 is bigger than 9/15. I've got one more 15th here. Okay, so that means, because we know that these two fractions are the same, and we know that these two fractions are the same, they're both equivalent, I now know that this fraction, 2/3, is bigger than 3/5. I can also work out how much bigger it is. Okay, it's 1/15 bigger, because this is 10/15 and this is 9/15. So 2/3 is bigger than 3/5 by 1/15. So if you're working out which is bigger, 2/3 is the biggest. Okay. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to give you another example in a second. Let's just look at that as a diagram on the website we've been looking at. Right, bring this over. Hopefully you can see it. So we've got our whole, which is the same, and it's divided into 15 equal parts. And down here we have 10 of my 15 parts shaded in yellow. And up here I've got 9 of my 15 parts shaded in yellow. And you can clearly see that 10 15ths is 1/15 bigger than 9 15ths. Okay, so we'll pop that down again. So 2/3 is bigger than 3/5. Okay, brilliant. So that's the first one. We're going to look at another one just to make sure we can really do it. Let's have a look at this one. So which fraction is bigger, 3/7 or 3/4? Okay. So again, the only way I can compare these two fractions is by finding a common denominator, a number that both 7 and 4 go into. So in other words, a number that 7 and 4 are both factors of. So again, the quickest way to do this is just multiply my two denominators together, because obviously they're both going to go into that number. Okay, so 7 times 4, 4 groups of 7 or 7 groups of 4, we know is 28. Let's just check. If I do my 7 times table, 7, 14, 21, 28. If I do my groups of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. The first common multiple of 4 and 7 is 28. So my new denominator for each of these fractions is going to be 28. Okay, 28 and 28, and I'm writing it underneath to help me. Okay, so I'm making equivalent fractions to 3/7 and 3/4 so that I can compare them. When they've got the same denominator and they're out of the same total number of equal parts, then it's easy for me to compare. So now I've got to figure out what I've done to my denominator so I can do exactly the same to my numerator. So if we look here, to get from 7 to 28, I've multiplied by 4. I find 4 groups of 7, and write that in. That means I need to do the same to my numerator, so I need to find 4 groups of 3. Okay, 4 groups of 3 is 12. I'm going to write 12 in as my numerator. So 3/7 is equivalent to, the same as, 12 28ths. So now I need to figure out what I did to this denominator to get to 28. And of course we know we multiplied the 4 by 7. Write that in beside it. 7 groups of 4 is 28. So whatever I do to my denominator, I must also do to my numerator. So it's 3 groups of 7, or 7 groups of 3, which of course is 21. Well, we got 3 groups of 7 here. 21. Now they've got, and let me just recap, that 21 28 is equivalent to 3/4. They are the same fraction, okay? Just looked at in a different way. I can now compare these two fractions because they've got the same total number of equal parts. They're both out of 28. And straight away I can see that this fraction has got 21 of the 28 parts, and this fraction has got 12 of the 28 parts, which means that this fraction is bigger. So 3/4 is bigger than 3/7. And like the last time, I can work out how much bigger it is. Okay, this is 12 28ths, this is 21 28ths. So this fraction has got 9 28ths more. So 3/4 is 9 28ths more than 3/7. Okay, brilliant. So that's 2. We have got one more. It's another step forward. So once we know how to figure out or how to compare fractions, we can start looking at more than 2 fractions to compare. And so in this case, I've got 3 fractions that I want to order from smallest to largest. Now you can see at the moment they've all got different denominators. So in order for me to be able to compare them, I need to make sure that all of the denominators are the same. So I've got to find a common multiple of 5, 3 and 30. A number that 5, 3 and 30 are all factors of. So I've got to think about it. If I'm not sure to begin with, I would start doing some lists until I find a number that all 3 go into. Okay, so I'll start off with if you know straight away, then great, go for it straight away. But if you don't know straight away, start doing some groups. Let's do some groups of 5s to begin with. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Let's do some groups of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so you can see they've both got 15, so I'll stop there. But this is already 30. So I need to keep going until I get to 30. I've got this one to 30. I've got to keep going with this one and see if I can get if I can get 3 groups of 3 to get to 30. And of course we know we will, because we know that 10 groups of 3 is 30. But let's just keep going to check it. 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Okay, so 5 is a factor of 30. 3 is a factor of 30, and of course 30 is a factor of 30, okay? 30 goes into 30 once. So my common denominator is 30 for all 3 of these fractions. Okay, so I'm going to find equivalent fractions for each of them, and they're all going to be out of 30 equal parts. So I'm going to write 30 underneath each of them, and now I need to find out what I did to my denominator to get them to 30. So in this first one, I've obviously found 5 times 6 is 30. So I've found 6 groups of 5. 5 times 6 is 30, which means I need to find 6 groups of 3. 3 times 6. So 3 groups of 6, or 6 groups of 3 is 18. So that's 18 thirtieths. 3/5 is the same as 18 thirtieths. Here, I've multiplied the 3 by 10 to get to 30, which means I need to multiply my 1 by 10, which of course is 10. So 1/3 is equivalent to 10 thirtieths. And here, it's already out of 30, so I'm going to keep it the same. I don't need to do anything. It's already out of 30, so it stays 6 thirtieths. Now I can compare them, because they've all got the same denominator. We can see that 6 thirtieths is the smallest, followed by 10 thirtieths, which is the next smallest, and 18 thirtieths, which is the biggest. Okay? Therefore, that means that 6 thirtieths is my smallest fraction. 1/3 is the second smallest, and the biggest fraction is 3/5. Okay, and again you can compare by how much bigger. 3/5 is 8 thirtieths more than 1/3, and 1/3 is 4 thirtieths more than 6 thirtieths. Okay, so hopefully that's all starting to make sense. Let's do a quick recap, because that was quite a lot to take in. Remember, you can only compare fractions if they have the same denominator. If they don't have the same denominator, you can't compare them. You're going to have to find a common denominator, which is what the second step says. So find a common multiple that all your denominators are factors of. So if we skip back and have a quick look, I had to find a multiple of 7 and 4. And of course, by times them together, I knew that 28 was a multiple of 7 and 4. And finally, whatever I do to my denominator, I must also then do to my numerator. So I had to, if you look back at this example again, I had to, because I multiplied my denominator by 4 to get to 28, I had to multiply my numerator by 4 as well. Okay? Brilliant. So, hopefully that's made that a bit more clear for you. And here are 2 examples for you to have a go at home. We're going to have a look at these on Monday. So you got to Monday. So if you look at this tonight, you can come and ask me some questions tomorrow. Also, you can ask questions on the blog. Have a go at these 2, and we'll have a chat about it in Monday's lesson. Good luck. Oh yes, yes. And finally, the diagram that I showed you, and the one we've been using in class a lot to look at the fractions. If you Google fraction ITP, you can have a go at practicing some of those at home as well and comparing fraction sizes. So have a little look at that. See you tomorrow. Bye.